So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We're so grateful to have you here to both celebrate one of our favorite residents and all the amazing things that he does for us, and also answer questions in our town hall about things that are happening in the city. So I think before we open up questions, we have the most important thing to do tonight is to recognize Charlie. If we want to come down, and Bob Davis, maybe you want to come up and join us?
Evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. As you know, I'm Mayor Mike Concannon, and we started something about a year ago where we wanted to take some time periodically to honor residents who have contributed greatly to the community of Woburn. And we came up with the title of a Resident Impact Award. So we're trying to find those people who go above and beyond to positively impact the positive vibe here in Woburn. We've given out a few of them so far, and in this case, I'm really happy to have Charlie Culhane here tonight. I think he's very worthy of this recognition. I've known Charlie since we both had dark hair. Thankfully, we both still have our hair. And I know what a great contributor he is to our community, not only in his prior life of public service, but all the while doing that, and since his retirement, he's just been a tremendous asset to Woburn. So I'm really pleased to have a big crowd of family and friends and others to join us as we recognize Charlie for his positive impact to the community of Woburn. So what I'd like to do is read and then issue this proclamation to Charlie to honor his efforts. So, in the city of Woburn and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, by His Honor Mayor Michael P. Concannon, a proclamation, Charles Culhane Resident Impact Award. Whereas, since Charlie's post as Veteran Service Officer for the city of Woburn and prior, he has been dedicated to a host of veteran activities and charities, as well as participating in numerous nonprofit organizations supporting veterans and their families. And whereas Charlie served in the United States Army from 1966 to 1969 and fought in the Vietnam War. And where after his service was completed, he was honorably discharged. Charlie stays very active and shows up for all scheduled veterans events, and is also active in recruiting for volunteer programs both inside and outside of our community. And whereas Charlie has volunteered many hours of his time decorating Woburn's memorial squares and graves for over 50 years, Charlie is also very attentive and passionate with keeping the DAV and Gold Star parks in pristine condition. And whereas Charlie is a true advocate for the senior veterans and families with over 5 decades of service to our community, Charlie's impact is tangible, celebrated, and now publicly recognized. Now, therefore, I, Michael P. Concannon, Mayor of the City of Woburn, do hereby extend gratitude on behalf of the City of Woburn to Charles Culhane, recipient of the City of Woburn's Resident Impact Award, and I declare today, June 16, 2025, a day of recognition. Given under my hand and the seal of the City of Woburn, Massachusetts, this 16th day of June, 2025, signed proudly by his friend, Michael P. Concannon, the Mayor. Charles.
My family and friends for coming here today. My daughter Charlene, taking the pictures. My son Bobby, my granddaughter Juliana, and my great-granddaughter Sophia, and all my other family and friends. The proclamation sounded like I'm an old guy. My great-granddaughter, I hope nobody says anything, because I ate her Kit Kat. I'm proud to serve the veterans and the community since I got out of the service in 1969. I've been a member of the United Veterans Council since then. I've been a member of the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and the DAV, Disabled American Veterans. So I'm happy to still work with the veterans and also to work with the non-veterans. I've delivered Meals on Wheels for 8 years, and I was happy to interact with the people I delivered the meals to. Other than that, that's about it. To thank the mayor, Bob Davis, and Chris Kissel, his chief of staff. Thank you.
Thank you all for letting us pause and do that important recognition. We think it's, we know we work hard and there's incredible employees in the city, but magical things happen when our community steps up to serve as well. And one of the things that we've worked hard at is, embracing those things and recognizing those things because they're really important. So thank you for allowing us to do that. We are going to kick off with our traditional town hall questions. Mayor Concan, I don't know if you want anything you want to kick off to say before we do that?
Sure. First, thank you all for coming. Thank you for coming for Charlie's night, and you don't have to stay if you don't want to for the town hall. If you want to go have dinner or something, that's perfectly fine. No offense taken. I do appreciate you coming out for tonight's town hall. We've tried to do these quarterly, and they've been fairly well attended. I know there's people who watch on TV as well. There's some people who send in questions in advance. And we pledge to do these as often as people want to come out and ask questions. I want to appreciate the city councilors who were here. Thank you very much. If there's a particular question that comes up that may fall in your lane, I'm more than happy to have you come up and weigh in on it. Appreciate your input, as always. Members of the WRA are here as well, and I know there are members of city government here too. So I just want to say thank you, and that we will continue to do these as long as people want us to. This isn't the only way to reach out, of course. You can always call the office, send an email, come into the office, any questions you might have. If I don't have the answer right away, I'll go get it and get back to you. But we're trying to make sure that people have confidence in their local government, and they feel like we're responsive and open and transparent. This is just one more way to try to demonstrate that. So with that.
Great. Thank you all for being here tonight. This is my favorite thing because we don't know what questions you're going to ask. So this is really fun for us. We have a little pool going about a couple questions we suspect might come up, but we're really grateful. And every time we do this, we learn something new that's important to the community. So as much as it's an opportunity for you to ask questions of us, it's also an opportunity for us to learn what matters to you. And so we are really grateful for that. We do have a microphone. We do ask when you come up to ask questions that you use the microphone because they are broadcasting. However, if there's a reason you cannot stand and you need us to answer that, just raise your hand. I'll come over and I will relay your question so that it gets picked up for you. And please don't be shy. So the first person you'd like to ask, please step up. You all don't need permission. Come on. I know you have questions.
B-Rep, you must have a question.
I have a question. How about this? I'll start with a question that came in ahead of time, and that'll loosen everybody up a little bit. So one of the questions that came out in line was, we know we have a community electricity program that's rolling out, and people have asked a little bit as just a reminder why we are moving to the community electricity program.
Yep. So several years ago, the state passed a law that allowed communities to adopt that law within their own city or town that could make it possible for residents to opt in or participate in what's known as community electricity aggregation, essentially buying in bulk with the hopes that you'll save a little bit of money by partaking in this bulk purchase. So probably 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago, we went to the city council. This matter had been before the city council previously, and they supported the idea of making it an option here in Woburn. But probably due to the market, we didn't really act on it back then. So about a year and a half ago, we went back to the city council, asked them to reauthorize this idea. They did. So we put it out there, and this is really just an opportunity to have some competition instead of the typical, Eversource bill you might get. This is an opportunity for you to partner with your neighbors and local residents of Woburn to buy in bulk and maybe, just maybe, ensure a little reduction in cost and an increase in stability by locking in your rate a little bit longer. So that's what the city council authorized. We've been working with a third party. We went out to bid. We got some good numbers. We think they're very competitive. So residents, I believe, are receiving correspondence in the mail this week explaining the whole process. There's a QR code. There's a link. There'll be another meeting next week to answer any questions people might have. But it's strictly voluntary. You can stick with your provider the way it is if that's what you want. I would encourage everybody to compare and see if perhaps this is a better offer for you. And if it is, by all means, jump in. The beauty of this is if you want to get out of it at any point, you can. So you can stick your toes in, try it out for a little while. If you don't like it or you feel like you can get a better deal somewhere else, you can jump back out and go back and partake of another provider. So with that, I think that's the gist of that. I would encourage people on June 25th to maybe come back and ask any particular questions they might have, but keep your eyes out for that mailer as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. Definitely, you can even bring your bills on the 25th. We have actual pricing now, and it, for most people will be very competitive and less than what you're paying for supply today. There might be some exceptions to that, so definitely come and check it out. But
we have Casey Haggerty and John Cashel from the planning department who have been assisting us with this process, and Kevin McDonough's here as well. Just looking at them to make sure we haven't missed anything of significance in terms of a highlight. If, again, would encourage people to come next week to that meeting if they have any other questions, correct?
Yeah, I think about everything. 6 p.m.
6 p.m. on the 25th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, who has a question in the audience? Chris, break us out. Come on.
All right. I gave some other people a chance to do something first, so. I wanted to ask a question about planning, specifically about Woburn Center and about whether we're going to be engaging in a sort of comprehensive planning effort for either for the full city of Woburn or for the downtown area.
Yep.
So that's the question.
Okay, fair enough. So we have a master plan, as you know, that needs to be revisited periodically, and we have our eyes on that. But in the shorter term, we have 2 mini master plans happening as we speak. One is up in North Woburn in the New Boston Street area, and then the second is downtown here in this, we used to call Woburn Square area. So we're going to have those 2 areas of the city analyzed, and there'll be public comment, there'll be an opportunity for people to weigh in while we move towards a complete master plan for the entire city. So those two things are happening as we speak. And again, in terms of planning downtown, I know you're aware of this. We also have a downtown traffic improvement plan that's underway, federal, state funded. We've had community meetings on that already. There'll be more to come. We had a downtown business specific meeting probably maybe 4 to 6 weeks ago in the chamber here. Well attended, got to answer some specific questions from the downtown merchants and those who are interested in commerce downtown. But again, we'll have more of those to follow, more community input.
Was there going to be a parking management plan?
Yes.
Yes.
We also hired a consultant to do a parking management, parking use study. They have preliminary results. They've had a bit of a dialogue with the WRA to share some of that, and we expect to be presenting some of that information to the City Council fairly soon. It'll be more of an analysis with kind of like menu item options, not necessarily a specific recommendation. This is the one thing you should do, and we'll make sure that there's a full, robust discussion at the City Council level before anything is done.
Gotcha. And while we're on the topic of this area, what's the status of the City Hall annex?
Good question. We are engaging in a move-in process as we speak. The building is ready. Furniture was delivered last week. Literal finishing touches happening as we speak. And building, conservation, and engineering departments are working on their soft move, soft opening. I expect them to all be in there sometime around the 4th of July. A couple will be in there a little bit earlier. And there'll be a little bit of back and forth for a week or two until they get everything squared away. And then the follow-on move of departments here in City Hall that will be spreading out or moving, that'll happen after that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Go easy, Brandon.
You know me, I will.
Oh,
It's
I,
nice seeing you, Samantha.
Nice to see you as well.
Hope you're having a tremendous year. I haven't seen you since last
I
summer.
know. We're
miss
ready
you.
for you to come back and help us out again this summer if you're up for it.
This is just before I get started. Mr. Viola, you might need to answer this, but the empty plot of land on Russell Street, is there any plans for it? Because with all the talk of needing another plot of land to like build a school or maybe a preschool, is there any designs or
you mean the
future plans for
Tarkey
it?
site?
The empty plot of land near Rich Road up on Russell
Yeah,
Street.
the
Yep.
Tarkey site, okay. I didn't know whether you meant the one further up across from Ryan Field, but you're talking about Tarkey.
Yeah.
So for right now, as you know, we just did some work over there. We put in a Battle Road 250th monument. We had a ceremony over there in April, very well attended despite the crazy weather. For now, that's the extent of any planned development in that area. We actually looked at that area just as one of the possible locations for a west side fire station, but it was determined to be too far west and wasn't practical for response times. I have not heard from the schools that they have an appetite to use that land for a school. So for now, I think the small but tasteful park that's there is what you'll see for the time being. And again, I offer Chuck the opportunity to weigh in.
Just to go feedback on that, the neighbors up in that area don't want anything built there. So I've talked to them in the past. They just want open space there, so there's a lot of, either wildflowers out of there and also a lot of animals. So we just place all that into the neighborhoods.
So that would
Good
be the
question,
plan for
thank you.
now.
When was the Turkey built shut down? Like when did they completely tear it out?
Long before my time. I'm not even sure what year that was. I'm not sure. It's been down a while. It's been a vacant
I was looking
lot.
around the room to see who might know, but I don't think we know. We can get back to John knows. John? Early 80s. So for those who couldn't hear, early 80s. Thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Steimer.
How are you, sir?
Oh.
I got a question about where the old jelly plant is.
Yep.
Now, they have all the residents up there now, they're being sold every week, I see in the paper stuff. There's only one way in and out by the McDonald's. What's gonna happen there? Because that's gonna be a nightmare when they fully get operational. I don't know how many more buildings are planned to be built there. I thought they were gonna have an egress someplace else.
No, that's been the plan from the beginning, to have
How
the
did
one
that
access.
happen?
The city council, after reviewing the entire petition and reviewing traffic studies and getting input from our own city engineer, felt that that access road, the width, the length, the control at the traffic control at Montville Ave was sufficient. And I agree with them.
Well, this traffic's been nuts there for years. We just came that way now, coming down Montville Ave, it's backed up, every night. We can't get out of East Woburn at night.
I understand the
Pine
problems
Street.
on Montville Ave. The idea is that the people leaving that area are governed by a traffic light.
Right, but I mean, why didn't they have like an on-ramp to 93 from there or something? Or why didn't they do something with mitigation at that time to put an on-ramp to ease that traffic on Montville to go into Boston?
I'm not even sure the state would have authorized an on-ramp. They have, in the federal
just
government
see-
for that matter, they have requirements on distance between ramps. I don't recall that being discussed. I was on the council at the time.
I just didn't realize that was, I thought there was gonna be, I was just surprised. I just took a ride up there the
Yeah.
other day, and I'm like, they're not even, a quarter done there?
That may be half. I'm not sure exactly what we'll see there ultimately. But no, at the time, there was information, there was data presented in terms of the number of trips and the number of, residences there. And the council felt satisfied that that road could handle that traffic. There is an emergency access, a fire gate,
Yeah.
but that's not expected to be used for day-to-day traffic.
It's not gonna ever open up into Stoneham or Winchester?
I don't expect that, no. Matter of fact, I think it's a condition of the special permit that that not happen.
Because, Salem Street, they did the Pine Street thing, that just kind of made it worse, because people, you can't take a left and you can't take a right, because the people waiting to take a left, you can't take a right.
You're talking Pine at Salem?
Pine Street, Salem, this is just East Woburn in general, man.
yeah.
It's like, we don't even go to like the Woburn Village or whatever. That's the last place in the world I would try to go to after 2:30 in the afternoon. I'd rather go to Stoneham or Winchester, but
I think the intersection at Pine and Salem was constructed as part of the bridge, and the idea was to try to make that intersection safer. There's some odd angle turns that were leading to problems, and they figured by teeing it off, they would straighten out and maybe get control of those traffic movements.
I mean, somebody has to get killed to figure this out, because you can't move across that. You can't go out there during rush hour. You just literally can't take a left or a right. No one will let you go. They come down Salem Street like 40 miles an hour, a speed bump or something. Every city I drive through, there's speed bumps.
Yeah, we don't have speed bumps here in Woburn. We've had those conversations. I know each of the city councilors have had calls about it. They wreak havoc from a public works perspective, and sometimes they cause more problems than they solve. But we talk about it a lot. We talk about whether there's a particular use or a location where we could try one out, but so far, we have not done that.
I just don't understand how Winchester, Arlington, Boston, Cambridge, they can have these plateaus and stuff, and Woburn's the only place that doesn't have any, and everybody's flying down the street. It's not like, if they were going speed limits or something, even if they put a traffic light at Wood Street and Wildwood, that would just stop some of the people. They're coming tear ass down the road. Even just have a cop out there, just a car,
And we do talk about these things a lot. I talk about them with Chief Rufo every Monday morning. We have a traffic enforcement unit that is quite active. They're out and about. They hit the hot spots. They try to go to areas like that. But it's interesting. It's ironic that half of the traffic questions I get, or concerns that are expressed, are that people are driving too fast.
Yeah.
And the other half are that people are driving so slow because they're stuck in traffic. It's interesting, like we have both problems at the same time, it seems like. We want to keep them moving, but we don't want them going so fast that they're a danger.
Well, that's just an inherent problem, because until they fix the cloverleaf the people are gonna cut through, then nobody
Yep.
wants to sit and.
As soon as there's a problem on the highway, they find their way. I know, I live at the corner of Rose Farm and Wyman, and I can tell you when there's a bad accident up on the highway because I can see the cars on Wyman Street.
I used to work in Boston. It would take me sometimes 10 minutes to get to Boston. It takes me 10 minutes to get to 93, on a good day, But I mean, it may be traffic lights or something. Something's got to be done. From Beach Street all the way down to Mill Street.
One of the intersections we're looking at is Salem Beach and Bow. And we're actually working with the city council. We've explored a couple of measures so far. We've hired traffic consultants to help us out with a longer-term solution there. As you can imagine, a significant improvement has a significant budget along with it. But we have begun the process of exploring a better way to manage that intersection because there's a lot going on there. It's one of our more troublesome intersections in the city. There's a lot of school children that are walking through that area.
And it seems to be just during the rush hours, basically. The rest of the time, it's not bad, but during rush hours, it's bad. I don't know if a police presence would stop people from speeding,
It helps, and we do, working with the city council and the police department, we try to focus on those hot spots and move around the resources we have to get the biggest bang for the buck. Every week, every day, we talk about these issues to try to make them a little better. I know the council, when petitions are brought forward for development, they think about this all the time. They weigh heavily the benefit of additional development versus the impact on the residents. And I think they do a pretty good job of navigating that balance.
Is Salem Street a city road or a state road?
Salem Street is city.
City, so there could be something done with Wildwood, between Wildwood and Wood Street. They could make it 2 lanes so that people will stop trying to take a left on Wildwood and you can't go around them and it backs everything up.
Yeah,
I mean, it seems to me it's maybe some simple solutions.
That's been on the table for a while. There's a lot of possible solutions there. We continue to talk with the ward councilor, Councilor Mercer Bruin, about solutions down there. What we learned in the last probably year or so was that it felt like Salem Street had more issues up by Salem Beach and Bow than they did at Wild and Wood. Not to say that one was great and the other wasn't, but the focus shifted more towards Salem Beach and Bow for a lot of reasons, one of which was the students crossing. It just garnered more of our attention.
That's what I'm worried about is, I mean, there's only a sidewalk on one side of Montfield. If you look going towards East Woburn on Salem
Street.
There's no sidewalk at all. There's trees growing. I mean, I walked up there to go up to the gas station. You
Yeah.
have to cross over to the other side. I mean, when I was in high school, I missed the bus a lot. I used to have to walk. So, I mean, I don't think it's safe for kids to be out there anyway,
It is definitely still on our radar, but
I mean, things have gotten better, like Washington Street, there's been a lot of improvements, but it's just taken time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been like this for over 40 years, so, I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, but
Yeah.
it is getting better. But I would just like to see some kind of lights or a speed reduction zone. Or people are just going too fast.
yeah, I hear you.
Thank you.
And we do continue to talk about it, so,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Bill, go on up to the microphone, sure.
Just to add to that, I'm Bill Papalato, I'm the city council in Wood 2, and I also sit in the traffic commission. And lots of people come in and they kind of ping people on the commission about exactly what you were asking about. I mean, are there lights, are there speed bumps, are there all these different options. It's a great group of people that sit on that. They listen to the issues that are out there and they come up with solutions. It's not a silver bullet, it's not going to solve every problem. But if you have concerns over a certain area, I would recommend you get on the agenda there and come down and discuss.
And just to follow up on that, another intersection of concern over the past several years has been Green, Nashua, and Holton. And thanks to Councilor Papalato's advocacy, along with Councilor Mercer Bruin and the president, we've been able to make some improvements down there. That intersection is really problematic, And the long-term solution is probably really significant, probably rises to the level of federal, state funding to make it happen. But in the meantime, thanks to collaboration and brainstorming and just trying to come up with ideas in-house, we've been able to make it safer. We've been able to clear out lines of sight. We're improving some of the pavement so it doesn't feel like you're bouncing up to the intersection. So I think you're going to see, you already have seen some improvement there, and you'll see some more. Not the end-all solution that would cost significant dollars, but I think it already is safer, and it's going to be even safer. And thank you to Bill for his leadership on that.
Yeah, just a reminder, we do have a couple of people on the broadcast. Just remember, I know it's kind of a hassle to come up to the microphone, but we can hear you in the room, but the folks online can't. So if we can just ask everyone to try and come up to the microphone. Thank you very much.
Hi.
I just want to say, if you need somewhere to test out speed humps, I volunteer right in front of my house on Bennett Street. I'll even shovel the snow off of it if that helps.
Okay.
I would love to see a pilot of speed humps in Woburn. I think there's a lot of places that need it. And relatedly, I wanted to ask, I know there's this planned traffic safety improvement plan for Woburn Center, but we're scheduled for the 2029-2030 TIP.
Yep.
I was wondering if there are any plans for the interim to do some traffic safety improvements. I know for a few weeks there we had like the little pedestrian signs in the middle of the crosswalks that said, please yield to pedestrians.
Yes. I'm smiling at Casey Haggerty.
They all promptly got run over and they disappeared.
Yeah, we continue to revisit that and fight the fight and not give in.
Yeah.
So
it's a few years until then, and I'm a
Yep.
pedestrian in Woburn Center now, and I feel like I'm going to get run over by a car now. So I'm
Yep.
wondering.
we certainly don't want to do nothing until then, but we want to make sure that what we do is part of the overall plan, and we don't want to spend a ton of money putting something in only to tear it out when we do this project, and I know you know that. But those other measures, we continue to look at them. We had an expedition last spring where we went about putting them out, and we're all optimistic and hopeful, and I think most of them did okay. A couple of them got crunched. But we haven't given up on that, and we're still trying to find ways to make it safer for pedestrians, bicyclists, vehicles, so they can all play nice around the center.
Because even just now, I biked here from Winchester Center. I take the commuter rail into Boston, and I was coming up Arlington Road, and I passed 4 cyclists on my way. It's a beautiful day, and there are a lot of cyclists who take that route. And I was just biking in the gutter, trying to dodge like the big sinkholes that happen around the sewers. And that just didn't feel safe. I'm sure cars didn't appreciate having to go around me.
Yeah.
So it seemed like there's some easy improvements that we could maybe do in the interim.
We actually are doing a little bit of work down on Arlington Road on a couple of those problem areas you talked about. You'll see that soon.
Yeah, some
Not
the
all of them,
pavement
but some
there
of
is
them. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie Culhane Award recipient. This is more of an animal control problem. Around the city, we have a number of coyotes, and it's getting worse and worse. We're losing small pets. Just the other day, in fact, yesterday I had one in my yard while I was having a cookout, and the other day, a guy was walking his dog, and 3 coyotes surrounded him. Shooting them away. The 3 came back again. We had to shoot them away again. So it's a problem throughout not only Woburn but
Yeah.
all over. So I don't know if there's any solutions.
Yeah, we're no different than a lot of communities, and their habitat is being taken over by development and human activity, so they do need a place to go. We do discuss this frequently, between the animal control officer, the police department, Board of Health. There are a lot of discussions about, what's the right approach to deal with coexisting. It does seem, at least anecdotally, in the last, few months to be more interactions with humans and small
Maybe
pets, perhaps. We have not embarked on any plan to eradicate coyotes. I think that's a dramatic step that we're not prepared to take just yet. But we're definitely concerned. I know the city council gets questions and concerns expressed about these interactions. I'll just tell you, we're monitoring it. But right now, we have not taken any steps to escalate our actions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a good question. The other thing I would just mention is that there are some good resources of things that you can bring with you that are, a whistle or things that will sort of, if you are out frequently where you see coyotes, give you a little bit of protection and control against them. And the Board of Health and our animal control officer have links to all of those things and can share them. I know that wasn't the exact question, but we know they are there.
Other questions? Barry, you must have a question.
Well, if everybody's being shy, I'll go ask another one. I've read on the news that Massport was considering remote terminal facilities in the Logan Express sites, which would be Woburn. Have you heard anything from Massport about that or about the Anderson parcel in general?
We have. So we first started hearing about it through news reports and banker and tradesman articles about the possibility that the MBTA and Massport and those who operate those facilities might be exploring redevelopment to try to enhance their revenue. We started looking into it. We worked with Rep. Rich Hagerty's office. We've had a couple of conversations with the state, meaning Massport, MassDOT, the governor, lieutenant governor's office. It's certainly on their radar to explore the possibility of redeveloping those areas. They put out an RFI seeking some information on what developers may have in mind if they were to put it out on the street. So we have had those conversations. The council has been involved in some of those introductory discussions. I know they got a couple of responses to their RFI for Anderson. I don't know what their next steps are going to be. Our position from the city has been from the beginning, we're open to discussions. We're happy to be included in the discussion and be at the table and be able to offer our own input. Specifically regarding redevelopment at Anderson, there was a lot of questions about what it might look like, what would go there. That happens to be the area where the city council designated our MBTA 3A communities zone. So there's that at play. There's also, with the new Boston Street Bridge opening up there, that whole area is about to get a fresh set of eyes from developers across, the country probably. It's going to be, I think, a hotbed for potential development, which I think could dovetail with whatever the state has in mind for Anderson, if done right. So again, our position has been, we appreciate the opportunity to be at the table, to offer our own input. I'll say I've offered several pieces of input, but number one, above all, given that that area is a Superfund site, we would want to ensure that any development that happened there was done under the auspices of the EPA, a close eye, by a developer and a development team that knows what they're doing in those areas, has experience dealing with that type of site. We would need that comfort level before we could stand behind any project like that. But right now, that's where it sits. It's, a RFI has been responded to. The state is now mulling over options, and we're waiting to see what their next steps will be. Anything, Lou? Anything more on that?
If you don't mind going to the microphone, I'm sorry, Lou. Thank you.
The City Council, Lou DeMambro from North Woburn, he's been involved in these discussions as well.
I've been involved in a lot of these discussions, and I can say that there's a lot of balls in the air right now. And one of the things, like the mayor had stated, it's a Superfund site. So we're really focusing on having the right developers go in there, as well as to how it's going to be developed. And the mayor and I talk extensively on this. there's also infrastructure upgrades that are going to need to be done in that area. So when the new comes in and the developers come in, we are trying to navigate and negotiate the infrastructure upgrades as well, because we don't want to have to burden our taxpayers and our residents of Woburn and increase their taxes to try to beef up the infrastructure with the water, the sewer, the drainage, the roads, and all of it, the energy, the whole 9 yards. So there's a lot of intricate parts to it, and right now, between the state, developers, the city of Woburn, our department heads, planning, so on and so forth, we're all watching it real close. The other thing that's not kind of working in our favor is the interest rates. So interest rates are still high, so everything's kind of on a pause mode. And I think once the bridge, takes and finishes and opens, I think we're going to see that area start opening up. So,
Thank you, Lou.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
When is the bridge going to be open?
The bridge is slated to open early next spring.
So June 2026 for those who are online.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you've been up there lately, but there's a lot of progress been made. The steel is up. I mean, it's coming along. They're up out of the ground and doing well. I'd like to think that by next year, this time, there are cars driving over that bridge. That is the goal.
Hello.
Hi, Rachel.
Thank you so much for doing this and giving us the chance to ask questions and hear from you directly. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for coming.
My question is in alignment with the budget meeting we had last week, and we're going to carry over tomorrow, around the difference between operating budget and the capital budget and the transfers, but specifically around what you're calling bucket 2
Mm-hmm.
of the capital budget, and sort of those bigger projects that aren't building a new building,
Yep.
but might be bundled together and go out for bonds. So sort of from where we are, maybe after tomorrow, once we handle the bucket 1, how does the city plan those bucket 2s, and sort of whose job is that, and how, we've spoken about this, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking a lot about the schools. So if you can speak at all about the roles of you, the mayor, the city council, the school committee, or whatever department it's in.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Rachel, and thanks for your questions over the last month or so. It's been a good dialogue, and you've helped me understand how to better clarify some of the things so more people understand what we're doing, so thank you. As you said, the city has an operating budget that City Council passed a week or two ago. And then we also have, as a piece of that each year, we have a capital budget, the pay-as-you-go capital budget. And they're finalizing, I hope, their discussion on that at tomorrow night's meeting. And those are, to your point about the buckets, I look at the capital side of things as 3 buckets. Bucket 1 is the pay-as-you-go, buying police cars, buying file cabinets, buying printers, the stuff we need on an annual basis. Usually we spend somewhere around $4 to $5 million of our free cash on that capital bucket 1, and that's what the council is looking at as we speak, and they'll be discussing tomorrow night. Bucket 3, if I can jump ahead to bucket 3, when you talk about capital stuff, is building a fire station, building a school, the really big expenditures, which we go out to bond for 20, 25, 30 years to pay off over time. Obviously and thankfully, those don't come up every year. Those are the big projects that we gear up for. And as you know, we're gearing up for the schools. We're gearing up for the next step in how we finish the process of rebuilding our schools. So that's more of a community discussion. Those are the big deal expenditures. Obviously, the idea comes from the department, comes to my office, it goes to the city council, there's discussion, debate, and ultimately there's a decision made that now is the time for the city to embark on an ambitious bonding authorization for those significant costs. So that's bucket 3. Bucket 1 is the pay-as-you-go, and in the middle is the bucket 2. And those are things that don't fit neatly into either of those 2 buckets. There's a little bit more in 1 year for one department to ask for, because again, we have $4 to $5 million in bucket 1 capital that we're sharing across 20-something departments. So bucket 2 is a little too big for that, but it's not quite a standalone bond on its own type of expenditure like a building would be. So that's when we kind of look at maybe packaging those bucket 2 items in a palatable bonding authorization. Obviously, the timing matters. We're constantly looking at our maturing debt list and seeing, is there something that's about to fall off, something that's been paid off, and now we can breathe a little bit and maybe use that amount of money to handle the next bucket 2 bond. Things like a new ladder truck, a roof at the Shamrock School, those things that are probably somewhere $1 million plus, $1 million to $3 or $4 million. Is there a way to package them together? One of the items we're looking at now, which I would call a bucket 2 item, is some measures to improve safety and security at our school buildings. And we've had substantive discussions with the school committee about that. They have hired a consultant who has produced a report with some good information. The next step would be to have some folks on our own team in-house here review that, those recommendations, apply what they know about the buildings and the process and the way things work in those buildings to figure out the best way to take action based on the recommendations from the consultant. So that safety, security, improvement piece is a bucket 2 kind of item. And similar to the operating budget, the way we would approach that is we would advise the departments that we're looking at those types of things, and we would ask them to prioritize the items they think might fit into that bucket. And then together, between me and the departments and the school committee, and in their case, the school superintendent, the city council, we would determine which of those priorities are ready to be considered in a bucket 2 bond authorization to the city council. It's not an annual or a prescribed timeline, but we're at that point now where we're looking at the bucket 2 items, and all of those people will be involved in the discussion. And it's like everything else we do. It's a prioritization. It's based on timing. So it's somewhat formal, but it kind of does depend on a lot of factors. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
You can hold on a minute. You can think about it. Again, as always, if there's a question you're a little hesitant to get up and ask in front of the public, you can always send an email, come into the office, make a phone call. We're more than willing to answer any question. Mr. President, anything?
Mr. President says he's very good, thank you, for those who couldn't hear him and can't see his charming smile right now that we get to see, so thank you.
Any other hotbed items you're just looking for an update on? Horn Pond Water Treatment Plant, the PFAS addition to our treatment plant. The construction is well underway. So far, so good. It's going well. Our city engineer, Alex Rizicki, is monitoring that for us. Pleased so far with the progress. As folks know, that's one of those things. It's interesting you ask it now. 6, 7 years ago, when we were looking at our buckets of 1, 2s, and 3s, we weren't planning on a PFAS water treatment plant. And then EPA, DEP changed the acceptable levels, and that caused us to act. And I'm proud to say that we acted quickly, decisively, and we are well underway. We will have this issue behind us in another year, 14 months or so. But again, we can plan and write out all the things we'd like to do in terms of capital spending, and then something like that happens and we have to reprioritize. So it's always a fluid process. But so far, so good with the treatment plant.
I'll also just take this second to let folks know on the live chat, if you do have a question, go ahead and put it in there. Sometimes there's a little bit of delay, so I don't always see them, but I think we will. So feel free to post a question there as well. Thank you.
And the other piece on the PFAS, we continue to test monthly and quarterly, and we are below the limits for the last year plus. I'm looking at the council. So that's good news. But long term, we know that we need this treatment plant, and we're looking forward to it being operational. Any other questions? Mans Court parking lot. Good question. So we know that parking downtown is always an issue. The good news is there is parking available downtown. It may not always be the one spot right in front of the one establishment you want to go into, but there is parking available. And we're always looking for ways to get the word out and to take advantage of the parking we do have. So there is this spot up at the end of Mans Court that has been available for a long time. The city has explored different ways of dealing with that. Closest we got until about a year ago was a plan to perhaps blast a lot of the rock out of the way. That became more extensive than people anticipated, more costly, the potential to do some damage to some neighboring businesses. So we put a pause on that. But in the meantime, our new planning director, John Cashel, he's not so new anymore, who has made it his mission to care about all things downtown in addition to all the other things on his plate, has been advocating and had advocated for a while now to take another look at Mans Court and see if there isn't something we could do short of blasting and spending a ton of money. And thanks to our DPW, they've been able to accomplish a lot up there in-house. Chris Doherty has taken the lead up there, our highway foreman, and he has made it his mission to solve that problem. So right now, if you go up there, it doesn't even look like the same place anymore. We've eliminated a lot of the rock. We've cleared a lot of the area. We've spread a lot of material. We're watching closely to make sure that we're not having any drainage issues, and so far we're not. The plan is working. So long term, the goal is to turn that into a complete usable parking area, paved with striping and lights, and a connecting sidewalk from the edge of the parking area all the way down to Main Street. So we're prepping that area for that next step. And the city engineer is working on some plans, consulting with the DPW superintendent and the planning department to come up with a way, again, being cost effective, as much in-house as we can, saving a lot of money to bring that to fruition. One of the things we're likely to do is to come to the city council and ask them to use at least some, if not all, of the proceeds in the downtown parking fund, a fund that's been generating, money as a result of development downtown. As you know, we have an ordinance that says if you're going to develop downtown and you're within 500 feet of a municipal parking area, you don't necessarily have to provide your own parking on site, but you have to contribute to a fund based on number of spaces. So we've built up a bit of a kitty in that fund. And I can't think of a better use than to create parking and connectivity from the parking to the downtown area. So I expect fairly soon we're going to come to the city council with a plan on what that would look like and a cost estimate, and see if we can't convince them to use at least some, if not all, of those funds for that purpose. Again, I can't think of a better idea. I think that's exactly what that fund is for, and it'll open up a whole lot of extra spaces for downtown, which we do need. Thank you. Any other topics? There we go. Hey, Mary?
Can you please give an update on the outstanding union contract?
Yes. So we have 6 of the 7 contracts that were outstanding as of last July settled. The last one is the Woburn Police Patrolmen's Association contract. We've met with them. We've shared proposals back and forth. They did avail themselves of the arbitration route, but we will continue to talk with them throughout that. We've had success in the past continuing to talk while the arbitration process dragged on, and it led to a settlement with another union last year. So we'll continue to do that here. I've been very clear, and the team has been clear with each of the unions that there's a finite amount of money and that each union will be treated fairly and equally. And we're seeking to develop our own proposal for that amount of money while we also ask the union to do the same. And if they can bring a proposal that falls within those guidelines, that isn't exactly what we thought it would be, but it works, we'll listen to that. So that's what we're working on now. I remain optimistic that we're going to get that last one done. And it's all been in good faith and respectful, professional, reasonable, cordial. We're just working through that process now, but I'm optimistic we'll get it done. Anything else? Yes, sir.
On the rubbish issue, we're going around that's happening July 1st.
Yes, July 1st.
Just for those of you who are on the broadcast, the question is, will we be moving to trash automation on July 1st?
Yeah, so as you recall, as we're living it, we rolled out the recycling automation process last July, and all in all, it worked pretty well. Like anything that's new and different, constitutes change. There were a couple of bumps, and there was some getting used to it, and we all tried to work together to get us through that. The good news is we learned some lessons from that rollout that we can now apply to the trash rollout. So yes, in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, you're going to start seeing the new trash bins come out. And then as of July 1, we're going to be asking people to use those. On the website, there's a series of frequently asked questions. There's a lot of information there. If you have a question that isn't addressed there, you can certainly call the Board of Health. You can call my office. We hope that it goes well. But again, this has changed too, so there could be a couple of bumps or things that happen that we didn't anticipate. But I think with the best of intentions and a good attitude and working together, we'll get through it.
I guess my question is, there's going to be a limited amount of rubbish we can get rid of. So now say I decide to downsize and clean up all the junk I've collected. Now, I can't get rid of it anymore. Am I going to have to get a dumpster? Or can I rent a dumpster from a trash provider? Would they consider giving us a discount on a dumpster?
I'm not sure about a discount on a dumpster, but a couple of things on that. You still have another week to put things out of the curb. I would encourage people to take advantage of that. You know, the main reason we move towards automation is that the world around us is changing, and automation is the reality. One way or the other, the city of Woburn was going automated, so we tried to navigate it as best we could and come up with the best deal we could for people. But it is change, and there are going to be some limits on what you can put out in your one bin. The bin has to close. But you can get a second bin. You could also get bags if it's only an occasional time when you need a little more than the one bin will fill. And then for other items, there is a bulk disposal option. There is a fee attached, and all the information is on the website. You'll still be able to get rid of it all. You just won't be able to get rid of everything every week, unlimited, with no additional cost.
It's time, I guess.
It is time.
You know, I know a lot of people are coming from other areas and getting rid of their stuff here because they can, you know, so.
Yep, we're aware of that.
I mean, I'm sad to see it stop, but you know, it's a reality.
Yeah, it is reality. Yep,
I
you're
just
right.
wish it was a little later. Than, thank you.
Thank you.
I will say my husband's been very busy in the basement this last few weeks for me. I keep reminding him June 30th is not far away.
Anything else? Those are kind of the questions I was anticipating. A little bit on community electricity aggregation, trash, budget.
Little wildlife.
Yep, coyotes, that's right. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I was expecting.
I think we
That's it.
covered the questions that I had anticipated. As always, we're really grateful for all of you for coming and for those who are watching and who will watch the recording. And of course, if there are follow-up questions, please reach out. But we hope that these open opportunities to ask directly Mayor Concan the questions are helpful, and we'll, as he mentioned, continue to do them. And we'll continue to come each week with Today in Woburn and stop by and all the other ways that you can reach out to us.
And if you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning with a burning question that you forgot, you can email me, you can text me, you can call me, you can come in and visit, and we'll get you the answer to any question you might have. I really do appreciate you coming out tonight and keeping these going. I think it's a good thing. I hope you do too. So on a beautiful June night, you took the time to come here, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.